Hello and welcome to your Wednesday dose of wealth wisdom with me, Daniel Kennedy, your host. Today we're going to be discussing how to build a team that you can trust and why patience is the key. So a big jump from being in a full-time employed job, which was the military, and then jumping over to business, is that I assumed that everyone would have the same values. And typically those in the military, they were fairly trustworthy. They were complete and absolute mental cases in terms of how they would act. But everyone was so brutally honest, and that was a really good environment to work in because you knew where everyone stood, because everyone sort of had a bit of an ego and it was encouraged to criticize other people constructively. And so the end product would be better. And in business, it's completely and totally the opposite, I've found. And my personal experience of dealing with anyone in business is that most people are out not to help you at all. It's to extract as much value from you as possible and very often step on you to propel themselves. And I've got a few points that I feel with my journey that I've been on in the last 4 years might benefit the newbies coming into the business. So the first one is you've got to accept that you are naive, new and experienced. So you don't know what you don't know. So the issue was when you're really excited to get involved in business, you're really, really pumped up and you're feeling all these good positive emotions without having to go through any winter yet, and you're just sort of living in the summer of your business. You want to partner off with people, and very often I see people partnering off without doing any due diligence on the partners. And I've gone through business partners like hotcakes, and there's been quite a few reasons for that. One is some of them just didn't have the work ethic as myself. They just fucking weren't doing as much, and especially when you're so passionate about it and you have different alignments, it's not going to work. So one quit and joined a band, went in a very different direction. Then I had somebody else who just wanted to get drunk all the time and didn't really want to go out and do business and didn't want to do the hard work. And then I found a business partner that I thought we were connected. He was hardworking initially, but then when it came to managing the properties, the whole sort of ethos changed, and then we split apart. And then I've got my current business partner now, and we're just aligned in a perfect manner. He manages all the legal sides, and I manage all the day-to-day running of things. And it works better that way because we've got our designated roles. So my advice to you is not to jump into bed with the first person that you see in terms of business. Wait, take your time, learn about the industry. And if that means you don't buy any property while you learn, or you don't do any deals and you're just observing, that is a good thing. So also, your default when you're involved in business, and make this forever, change the way that you think, is your default should be not to trust somebody. And I read loads of books about business and entrepreneurs, and they say build a team, you're only as good as your weakest link and all that. But bullshit, man. People need to have for me, they need to know that I am going to check. Even if someone's been with me for 10 years, I'm still going to check just because it's in my nature. And if they know that, and they know there's no disparity and they aren't going to be able to get away with it, it encourages a better culture within your company. So if they know that fucking idiot Dan is going to be checking, even though I do the same thing every week and the same thing, and that means it's very, very, very time intensive for you. But the alternative is things can slip, things can go awry, and then very often you assume some things are getting done when in reality they're not. So when I check and then I'm able to correct, and I build a culture of, oh God, I'm going to have to do it anyway because I know he'll be moaning at me if I don't, I think that's a good thing. And same with the builders, and same with your trades, your staff and your solicitors. They know that you're going to be one of those people that are very engaged and you don't palm it off. And once they know you're that person, they're going to have to get it done, and they're going to have to do it properly because it's going to create a bit of friction. And then they're going to have to do it anyway, so they might as well do it right the first time. And even going forward, and you build strong relationships and you build businesses, always have checks and balances, even on yourself, because you are human as well. So one of these checks and balances, for example, in our business, is that we can't take money out without the other person knowing. And we discuss where all the money's going, what's being invested in what, and it's very open, and we both have access to the account. So it would be very, very easy to see if somebody was pinching the pennies. And a big one, and I want you to take this home and really, really think about it. Ignore what people say and only listen to what they do. So how can you listen to what someone does? So if somebody is turning up on time and somebody is doing what they say they're going to do, someone is willing to be outspoken, and when it's really awkward, like stick to your values, you know that person is going to be worth their weight in gold. You still don't trust them. Never, ever, ever fully 100% trust someone. Always have maybe a 5% check. Maybe you check it less and less and less as the business goes on, but still always have that default. So watch what people do, not what people say. I really want you to take that in if you're going to be doing business with people, whether that builders or trades or whatever. So there's certain people that if I know they're going to say I'm going to be in for 7, or I want to work at the weekend, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, I won't have to check them. There are other people that I will 100% have to check them, and very often it will be found wanting. And that's going to be the same. And then you don't necessarily have to have your relationship break down with those people. Just know that this is what you have to do. This is what you have to put in place to mitigate those risks. Because being in business, I've learned over the course of my very, very short tenure, is that it's about de-risking your position. And it's never really about putting yourself out there and getting overexposed. Those who have massive growth tend to do that, but there are, for every one person that's very successful, there are 9 that fail, as I've found. I'm going to be taking the easy route. I'm going to take the nice, simple route, 1 deal at a time, maybe 2 deals under contract with 1 in planning, like we are now, but I'm never going to overextend myself, and I'm more than happy with that. What you've got to realize is most people are thinking about the money tomorrow rather than the money in the future. And when you have when people trust you and you've built up that brand and that rapport, and people know that you're not going to screw them over because you recognize that the real value is in the long-term play of having this brand, this business where you've treated everyone fairly and in a moralistic manner, you've upheld your contractual obligations. Things will go wrong for sure, but you have done everything within your power to try and right the wrong that may not even be your fault. When you build that kind of persona up, you can't put a price on that. And that's why I feel now we're really ourselves are benefiting from that sort of ethos of doing whatever it takes, making sure that you don't screw people over, and really, really, really internalize getting rich with people rather than from them. So you offer good returns, you offer value as well as the loan agreement, as well as the interest with your builder. Like for instance, the construction company, which most people don't believe me when I say this, I make no money from it. When we do other people's jobs, and there's a sort of element of risk for the trades as well, because they're going to have to trust me, and I got it wrong on the first job. I underquoted it, so we were down £6,000, but I was just candid with them. Yeah, my fault, I misquoted it, things overran. Whereas this next job, it's a good healthy profit, so we'll be able to shoulder that loss there as well as pay some of the guys out, and the profit gets split between the 3 main trades, and that's how it's set up. So why would I do something like that? It's because I'm building an ecosystem of all the businesses working together. So if I just have a build team that helps out and does our repairs, and it's on my beck and call, that's more valuable to me than a couple of £1,000 for every job. And I'm sure they'll appreciate the money when it comes as well. So where can you find these people that you trust? So although my default setting is not to trust people, there are certain people that I will give more liberties to than others. And these, I've just come across them over the course of my day-to-day business. So that the trades that we found are pinched from a few teams. The staff, we interviewed them and we've given them leeway. We've got really long relationships with the staff that we have, and it's taken a very long time to get where we are. And we've kissed a lot of frogs to find the princesses that we have now. So all you've got to do is look out for it in your day-to-day life. Say if you're wanting to maybe build your own team, start making the contacts outside of the construction company that you're using, or maybe try and get the individual blokes and just see how you work together. And act like people are watching, even when no one is looking. So have a real sort of, because like how you do anything is how you do everything, and I'm a really, really key believer of that. So act like somebody is watching you even when there are no eyeballs on you. So don't screw people over, because the truth always comes out. we've all seen it. We've all seen the people that have over-promised and under-delivered, not had the balls or the candor to say, listen, this is going wrong, I now need help. And they end up worse off for it. So always just try and act as if somebody is watching you, somebody's going to find out, you're not going to get away with it, and it sets that sort of bar where you're unable to maybe take advantage, and that will benefit you, your companies, greatly in the long run. As I say, there's no price that you can put on trust. No price, it's priceless, and once it's gone, I don't think you can ever get it back. So that first time you, I don't know, maybe steal, I'll just take some money out for this, or I'll just take some money out for that, or I'll just take a tenant from this landlord or that landlord, without being open, just like candid and being really honest. And maybe it's a sour pill for the person to swallow, but as long as you're not hiding anything, being that snaky individual, it'll play in your favor in the long term. So you build loyalty, I feel, is if you set your businesses up in a way where people get rich with you and you don't get rich from them. And how could you do that, for instance, in a HMO? So for me, I'm encouraging all the staff that we have to say that this is a temporary position. You should learn what we do and go copy it and then go do it somewhere else. This should be a short stay in the long projection of your career, because if I'm trying to, and I get the temptation, man. I have this, when I meditate, because I'm meditating now, I have this conversation all the time in my head, and I have my sort of scarce mindset and I have my open mindset, and this isn't really me. The scarce mindset is me. It's what I'm like internally, and I'm quite a negative person. My inner voice isn't on my side, and I have to consciously fight it. And it's a really weird dynamic. So when I meet you a first time, I'm going to dislike you. It's just what my mind does. I think this person, for some reason, I don't know why, I just don't like people initially. And then once I've watched your actions, you've been around me quite a lot of time, we've talked, I've saw that you're a good guy, and my conscious mind is on your side, I'll do absolutely anything for the person. And be that, even if it affects me monetarily, if I feel that you've got an injustice, once you're sort of over this side and you're in the band of people I want to help, I'll definitely be with you there during the hard times, the difficult times. But initially, I'm probably going to be quite horrible to you. So I've completely lost my train of thought. No, I haven't. So while these conversations are happening in between my scarce mindset, I want to try and I think of the staff selfishly, and I'm like, I don't want to teach them too much because they might leave and set up their own and be a competitor, or then I'll have to rehire and I might have to go for that palaver. But you'll get a much better response out of somebody if you're encouraging them to step outside that comfort zone and saying, listen, you've been with us for a year now. Why haven't you invested in anything? Why haven't you done any property deals yourself? You can see how lucrative this is. You've got the soft landing of this job because the guys get paid before we do. That's just how it works in a business. Like, you take all the risk, but you also get majority of the reward in the end. And if you're not encouraging them, they might tend to feel trapped. And my scarce mindset is like, listen, don't teach them this, don't teach them the inner workings of the company, keep them hungry, keep them sure, keep them like in a sort of mindset of that they need you, they can't help you, they can't do it on their own. And the like open and non-scarce mindset is, no, you want to teach them just in case if they take more responsibilities, that means you can then go and focus on more income producing activities. And last year, a good example of this is that I didn't find any new deals. The only 2 deals now were from the year before, because I was setting up the construction company. And now essentially I'm giving the whole management side to somebody to learn, and it'd be very easy once they are fully competent to go and just set up on their own. Very easy, especially with how it's structured. They'd be a bit silly to stay around when they could earn more and go and do it themselves. However, because I was able to divert a lot of this time consuming activity and invest in this person and teach them how to run basically a construction company in the way that I would it. I'm not saying that that's good or that's bad, it's just the way that I do it, and I'm sure they'll put their own flavour on it at a certain point in time. It enabled me to then do a bit of sourcing, and now I've got 2 potentially fantastic land deals on my plate that are under contract. The agreements are agreed, and now we're just deciding how we can look at them at different angles to try and maximize the value. So me not being scarce, me being open and sharing everything, not hiding everything, has allowed me to then focus on another aspect of the business, which then generates more money. So that's why I feel you should try and build your employees up and encourage them to learn as much as you can, and then fuck off and go start your own business, because I know how suffocating it can be to feel like, there's more out there, why the hell am I in this job, this is horrible, and to put that onto somebody, it's not a nice feeling when you think about it in that sort of context. And then it sets no expectation up. So when eventually they do, because most people are going to move on and it's just going to be you and your business, probably long term, or maybe family members if they get involved. If you have the expectation that they're going to leave and they do, you're going to be able to plan for it. It's not going to be too much of a shock. So build your businesses up so you get rich with people rather than from them, and also think long term, not short term. This is very prevalent in builders. So they'll think of the money on Friday rather than the money in the future. And to find a team that now think long term, they're worth their weight in gold, and you should try and hold on to them and not let them go. And now I'm just going to summarize. So point 1, accept you're new, naive and experienced, okay? So people are going to take advantage of you. It's not the candid sort of workspace that you were previously involved in, especially for myself. The default is not to trust, and why it always should be is because if you don't trust, you don't have an expectation, and you'll build systems and you'll sort of manage people in a way where they're not going to try and pull the wool over your eyes because they know it's going to get checked. Watch what people do, not what they say. That's really, really key. Like, you should pretty much ignore what people say. In my experience, and watch what they do, and you'll be able to tell a person from their actions. They'll speak a lot louder than the superficial words that they'll say. The truth will always come out, so don't try and screw people over. You will be for those in the property industry, you've seen it, man. You've seen the public court of condemnation when somebody goes wrong or does something wrong that's against the public opinion, and they get ostracized, and it's very difficult to come back from that. Where to find people you can trust? I wouldn't actually go looking for them. I would do business day to day, and you'll come across them eventually, and then you can give those people a bit more flexibility, try and get them within your team, and then structure it in a way where they get more value than just the money that you give them. You should act like somebody is watching you even when there are no eyeballs on you, because this harpens on back to the truth will always come out in the end. If you're screwing people over the back doors, you're not going to remember. I've seen people slip up. That's happened with me, where they've lied to me and they forget the lie, and then later on they tell me the truth. And it's just, the truth comes out, trust me. You build loyalty when you set up your businesses in a way where people get rich from you, not with you. And think long term, not short term. And a good example of when I stick to these sort of moralistic guidelines, even if it's a pain in the ass for me. We had a builder, he was doing a fairly good job, we were ready to use him for the next one, but he didn't pay his sparks. I paid him and he didn't pay the sparks automatically. Even though it was a fucking hassle to go find and build this new team, I stopped working with him, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If somebody isn't going to show loyalty to the people that help him make money, how is he going to treat us as clients? And that's just one of many things. And the trades that work for me know this. They know that I stopped all the work. I went and built this construction company, which was a fucking nightmare. Like, complete, and it would have been so much easier just to ignore that and keep him on. But just I couldn't after he'd screwed one of his trades over. It's just not the done thing. And hopefully they'll see that, and they'll build a bit of loyalty, and they'll think, oh, is he screwing us over? Is he not? And then they'll think back, nah, he's not that type of person. And that's a really good way to build trust. So just don't associate with people who screw people over. And an interesting fact that I see, I can't believe who some of these people who associate with the other sort of scams in the industry. They're happy to jump on their podcast, happy to be like, hell yeah, he's my friend. And when I see these people who are linked to the bad players, who we know are bad players, absolutely they get called out. And I ask, why are you going over? Do you know what he's doing, etc. Right, and that's my take on how to build a team that you can trust and why patience is the key. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got a lot from it. And then any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll share them and answer them for the whole world to see. Thank you.